Hey guys, welcome to my garden. If you're new here, my name is Kiera. Feel free to call me Q. And the project for today is planting all of this garlic. So I've actually been in the garden for a couple hours at this point. It is afternoon, and we planted out one of our fall beds together. So in the video that you will have seen previously, before this one, um, we went through and planted an entire 16-foot bed together. So I feel really good about the fact that we got that done this morning. And let me just kind of like show you what that looks like real quick in case you missed it. All right, so this bed doesn't look like much right now, but we've planted out this entire bed right here. And we have bok choy, we have cilantro, Napa cabbage, purple broccoli, or purple cauliflower, broccoli, regular cauliflower I think I put in here, Swiss chard, some golden beets, and all kinds of stuff. So, oh, and then there's peas on the trellises, and then I put a couple flowers in. So there's lots of stuff in here. Again, it doesn't look like much right now, but hopefully it will in a couple weeks. So today we're planting this garlic. Now, this is all garlic that we grew last year and harvested. Well, I guess I should say we harvested it earlier this year. And so all of this came from our garden. We're gonna see how far it gets us, because this is all the garlic we have right now. We might get more, but usually I wanna always just kind of start with what we have. This is the most we've ever gotten. I'm gonna show you, there's two braids here. You can see one of the braids is kind of empty. We've been eating off of that one. Unfortunately, those are also the bigger cloves, but they were really good. So I'm gonna see how far this gets us, and I'm gonna show you kind of like how I go about planting garlic. All right, so my neighbor's playing music, so we'll see if we can edit the sound enough or edit the audio enough for this. If not, I'll do this whole thing as a voiceover. But first thing, so I'm gonna take one of these braids that I have here, and I am just going to cut a whole clove off. Now, what I like to do in my garden is I like to leave space around all of the edges of the beds. So kind of like the 4 to 6 inches around the perimeter of all the beds, I leave them empty, and I leave them empty specifically for garlic and onions and things like that. If you've never planted garlic before, you can buy it from the store. Some of it gets inoculated, I've heard, so that you actually can't plant it or it just doesn't grow. I've never had that issue though. I've definitely grown garlic from the grocery store and had no problem. I do try to get the organic ones when I can. It can be a little bit expensive. And I think for this seed garlic, we got it last year at the farmer's market and it was pretty expensive. So anyway, what I'm doing here is I'm just gonna break this clove up. I have a bowl here to get all these extra papers in. And I'm going in here pretty rough. You just want to break it up, and this one is a big one, so it's pretty tough. So, and you can see, then you have the cloves. I think this is 2. Yeah, this is 2 cloves here. So you break that up, and I take some of the papers off, but you don't want to take all of the paper off of these. They are kind of like a protective coating when the garlic is in the ground, and it keeps it from rotting. So don't kind of peel it like you would if you were cooking it. You want to leave those papers on. So I'm going to go ahead and break this up. So the thing about garlic is it multiplies, which is really cool. So each one of these cloves will duplicate around itself and become an entire head of garlic. And so what you want to do, first of all, is you don't want to plant garlic where the heads are too small, because you're going to get a really small head of garlic and it's, you know, just more work to peel and all that kind of stuff. But you also don't want to plant the ones that have really big pieces of garlic, or really big cloves, but the cloves are really wide, right? So in this head of garlic that I just broke apart, I just broke off like 5 different cloves, and that was only half of it. That's really what you want to go for. If this was, say, like 4 cloves in here, even though it was really big, it's not necessarily going to be the best for planting, just because you're not going to get as many cloves when it duplicates itself, because it's going to all those cloves are really wide. I don't have an example of that. We actually used all of those first. But so you want to just make sure that the cloves are a good size and whatever garlic you're breaking apart has multiple cloves. I try to go for more than like more than five cloves in a garlic head. Now, if all of the garlic that you have is really small or it does really have wide cloves, then plant what you have. Like, it's not that it's bad or anything like that. It's just easier when you can get good sized cloves like this and you're going to get more bang for your buck and like, you know, it's more worth your time and it's easier to peel. But like, plant what you have. Before I get started, I'm going to break all of these apart. So I'm actually going to go into the shade and finish breaking all of these up. And yeah, then we'll do some time lapse. And so this will be a lot faster for you. So I just found this clove that rotted out. It doesn't look like it's good. So let me break this open for you. So you can see what it looks like. You see in there? It's like all brown and stuff. I don't think that's good anymore. That doesn't look like it's good to eat or plant, so I'm going to throw any that look like this away. One thing I should mention while I talk about like throwing things away, what I mean is putting it in the, for us, our city compost. Alliums and like onions, garlic, anything like that. It's not great to put that in your home compost. I don't know all the science behind it, but all of the lists that you will see online that tell you what to put in compost and what to leave out, alliums are on those lists. So onions, garlic, the papers, all that. So none of this ever goes in our home compost. We put it in the city compost because those are much, much, much bigger piles that get much, much hotter. And so that's why on those really hot, huge piles, you can put things like meat or some like even oily products or, you know, bones and things like that because it's hot enough where it will actually compost those things down and break them down. But home compost, at least for the size that we have, it would never get even close to being able to break something like that down. So all of this stays out of home compost, but we don't put it in the trash can because we don't want it to end up sitting in a bag in a landfill. So it is, I'm trying to break this apart. This is really hard. City compost is where it goes. Well, I'm tearing some of these apart. Some of them, the clove itself gets exposed. So you can see right there, the paper just kind of like tore off. I'm not going to plant this. This would just rot in the ground, but it's still really good for eating. So I'm putting all of those aside. And oh yeah, see, they basically just fell out of the paper. I'm putting all these to the side and we're going to eat these in the next like couple days. Okay, so all done. This is all of the seed garlic that we got. Some of them were squishy and like rotted in the inside, which is kind of a bummer. And then these are the ones that the paper opened up too much and the flesh was exposed. So I can't plant any of these, which is also kind of a bummer. But at the same time, these we can still eat. So we won't get multiple new heads of garlic out of them, but they're not going to waste. They're going to go into really good food. All right, now it's time to start planting these. I'm going to start in this bed back here because it is the only bed that has only fall stuff in it. So I'm going to just go around the perimeter real fast and get these planted. And then if we have more, I'll start on the beds behind me. So when you plant it, you want to plant it so that the pointy side is up. And then this kind of like flat part where you broke off the roots are still going to go down. So roots are always going to grow from the bottom here, and then you plant it basically like right in the ground like this, pointy side up. Now, if you accidentally plant this like upside down, it's no big deal. It'll still grow. It'll just kind of like be a little wonky or take a little longer or something like that. But for optimum results, pointy side up, root side down. So looking at my bed here, you can see I leave plenty of space along this whole perimeter here. All I'm going to do is dig a hole For a lot of seeds, as a good rule of thumb, you just kind of dig a hole that is like twice as deep as the hole is wide or tall, and you just pop it in like that. So this one, it looks like, you know, it might come up from the soil a little bit. I'm not too particular about this, but yeah, you just dig it in so that you can then cover that hole. And I'm going to plant all of these probably about like 4 inches apart. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 inches apart, just to make it easy on myself. So I have this Hori Hori knife, and this thing is really cool. First of all, I love this thing. You can use it for so many different things besides just digging, but it actually has inch measurements on it, and so a lot of times I'll just use this for like quick reference of measuring things. I don't have to be exact with this or anything. It's mostly just, you know, giving them enough space for an entire head to wrap around the cloves that I'm planting. So yeah, I usually give them about 4 or 5 inches, and on this one, 5 inches is here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. All right, we officially have garlic planted in one whole 16-foot bed. So this is what we have left. I think this is enough for like another bed and probably some change. And I think I'm gonna come out here this evening and do this when it's a little bit cooler out here. But I wanted to get at least this bed done and feel really good about the fact that I have one bed completely ready and planted out for fall. I love planting garlic just because that whole thing took me like 5 minutes. It was really quick. The thing that takes the longest with planting garlic, honestly, is separating out the cloves. That probably took me like 25 minutes to separate what I had. But planting is super fast. And then the beauty of this is, at least for the garlic, I'm not gonna have to do anything with it. So it's just gonna like sit in this bed, do its own thing, and come up in spring. It's really great. It's a really, really low maintenance crop. And since it is one of those crops that, you know, will have to be in here into the spring and then harvest in the summer, I really like putting it around the edges of my beds, so then I don't have to do anything with it. I can harvest all the stuff in the middle of the bed, flip the bed, and then even put in spring and summer stuff later, and it's not going to be in the way at all because it's on the edges. I really, really like that. Last year we ended up amending our beds and filling them up with probably like a good 4 or 5 inches of soil, and we just kind of like put it around the garlic, and the garlic was fine. So yeah, it's a really easy crop. I highly recommend trying it if you've never tried to grow garlic before. It's one of those things you can also grow it in pots, and it's super easy. So that's going to be it for me today. I'm going to go inside and cool off a little bit, and then I'll be back out here this evening to kind of finish planting this up. But thank you for joining me in my garden today, and I would love to know, are you growing garlic? Have you ever grown it before? I don't know anything about the varieties or anything like that. I just grow garlic. But let me know if there's a specific variety that you really like growing in your garden, if you've ever tried it before, all that good stuff. So thank you again for joining me today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.